Hey everybody, Andrew here with Nashville Severe Weather. Well, we've made it to 7:02 and we now have a severe thunderstorm warning for Williamson County. So, we've been watching this cell back to the west, and this cell, unlike some of the others, has not really fallen apart. So, it still has a punch with it. Weather Service decided to go ahead and issue that warning and get us a severe thunderstorm warning here. Now, this basically just includes Fairview. Okay, it doesn't include any of Davidson County right now. It only includes Fairview. And let's dive in just a second and take a look at what we've got here. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning for 60 mile per hour winds and 1-inch hail. So it's a base level severe thunderstorm warning. But they issued the base level severe thunderstorm warnings because those can cause damage. Those can be severe. So possibility exists for some 60 mile per hour winds and some quarter size hail with this as this storm rolls east and could potentially get into Fairview here in a little bit. So let's just kind of see who's in and who's out of this polygon here. The yellow polygon indicating where that severe thunderstorm warning is. And we have Fairview basically are the only ones included here. You got Liberty Hill, Fairview High School, Blakemont Estates, and the town there of Fairview. And that's really about it. This thing doesn't cover just a ton of real estate here in Williamson County and does not include any of Davidson County at this point. So let's do a little storm track on this thing. Strongest part of the storm. It does have a little bit of an east-southeast movement to it. We call these right movers. And some of the stronger storms on a day like today can tend to take a right turn. So they may not go in the direction of all the other storms. All the other storms today basically have gone west to east, maybe just a little bit north-northeast or east-northeast rather. This one is taking a little bit of a right move, right? It's kind of doing an east-southeast kind of a thing. And that's not uncommon for storms that are a little bit stronger, have a little bit stronger mesocyclone with them. In other words, they're just a little bit more organized. And that's exactly what we have going on here. So that's why you see that kind of a little bit dive southeast on the track. So that would be Brentwood. Heads up in Brentwood about 8:15 or so. The thing's not flying. I mean, it's taking its time. So it could be another hour before it gets to Brentwood. And same thing for Franklin and Nolensville. So again, not moving real fast. We'll just kind of have to see. This warning is in effect for 40 minutes. All right, it's in effect here until 7:45. And at that point, they think the storm is going to be just then entering Fairview. So, and then they'll make a decision there on what to do with the warning, whether to extend it into Nashville or let it go. So far we've been pretty lucky today, Will. We haven't had too much in the way of warnings for us.
I wouldn't call today my luckiest day ever, but we are certainly, this is not materialized into what I had feared it would be, which would just be an all afternoon bout of severe thunderstorm warnings. So glad to see is really the first one we've had.
We have not had the widespread things that one of the things we can get in the summertime here is we can get these lines of storms. We call them I-24 specials because they come diving out of Kentucky, kind of come down I-24, and those can be pretty big windstorms for us. And those tend to happen in setups kind of like we had today. And,
that's right.
And even a little bit tomorrow, but we think tomorrow's storm will mostly, if you read the blog today, if you haven't, go read it, but we think most of that will dive southwest of us tomorrow. But it's just kind of that time of year where we can just get these, it's just kind of a fire hose of lines of storms. We just get them over and over again, sometimes days at a time.
Yep.
And we've not seen that today, so that's been good. We've had more of these individual storms that have kind of pulsed up, and then they've sort of come back down. And
what we have seen is quite a bit of lightning.
These have been electrical.
Turned off on that, but I have the high res lightning on mine, and a number of positive strikes and um, frequent lightning all through this storm as it inches closer to Fairview.
Yeah, they have been very electrical, and we had one of the storms go over our house this afternoon, and man, it was really loud. I know you've had one too, Will, and it was noisy. So again, 'tis the season. This is what we get this time of year, and but luckily hasn't been quite as widespread as it could have been today.
And I do think CMA Fest made the right move, calling this stuff off. It has rained over and over again through downtown,
Yeah, it's like,
and
what do you do? I mean, it's like you you fire things back up again, and then you look back to the west. You go, oh man, there's a storm coming through Dixon. What are we gonna do?
right.
So yeah, I totally get that. Let's see here. Let's look at velocities here. Velocities has been a little interesting. At times, we've looked at this thing and we've said, "Holy cow, this thing's got a lot of rotation with it." And the the issue is that there's something in here, and we won't get into the weeds here, but just to explain that there's something called side lobe contamination, and I think we talked about it in our radar. A sort of masterclass we did with the Patreon folks a few months ago. But side lobe contamination is just one of those things. It's a radar artifact. It's one of those radar anomalies that can happen. Radar is not perfect, and so we don't believe, the Weather Service does not believe that this velocity data here is real, that it's valid, and there are reasons to believe that. And we won't go into all that, but that's you normally would look at that and say, "Whoa, that's a pretty decent rotation in that storm." It's one of those things, not so fast. Everybody's kind of having a little bit of restraint, which we appreciate.
Well, and the radar's got a bad look at it too. It's not the way it's tilted. It's south of town. The radar's got to shoot through a lot of different rain to get to that. But it looks like, if you look at a four panel, it looks like NROT took the bait. There's an NROT spike there.
Well,
well. 1.48 NROT on a day like today is not accurate.
Yeah, the problem with NROT is it's just using radar data.
Right. And so it took, when I say it took the bait, right, it
didn't really have a choice.
Yeah. It's saying, it's reading all the different parameters and crunching an algorithm to say, yeah, this is real. But if you look at Andrew's red square, right, if you put that marker right over the circ, you'll see that it's outside the reflectivity. Pretty telltale sign of side lobe contamination.
Yeah. So all that to say, we're not terribly worried at the moment as far as rotation goes. In fact, the storm looks like it has taken a couple of ticks down. In fact, I'm kind of going, we're looking here up at about 30,000 feet. And in the last scan there, you see all the purples and reds there? That's a hail core there. As you go through time, that's a pretty good core right there. That's right when they issued that warning. And then in the latest scan, look how much that all dropped out. So storm looks like it's weakening at the moment. So we'll just have to see how long this. In fact, look, hail sizes have come down too. So we'll see how long this hangs around. If it continues the trend in the past 5 minutes, I wouldn't expect that this thing will hang around very long as far as a severe goes. But
like there's a new kind of spike of velocity information that has come back just east of Bolt Spring. It looks like that's going to be side lobed as well. I'd love to hear what you think on that, Andrew.
Right here.
Yeah.
Let's look at it this way.
Yeah, it's outside the.
Yeah,
a little closer.
It is, but this wouldn't be rotation the way this is orientated with the radar. So this is wind going toward the radar. That's wind going away. If anything, it's a little bit of a downburst. That would not be rotation the way. If you rotate at 90 degrees, it would be, but where that is on the radar beam, that would not be rotation. So if anything, a little downburst, but doesn't look like anything too strong yet. So far, so good. Weather Service is still saying that any indications of rotation here, as far as tornadic rotation, appears to just be, again, what we mentioned, side lobe contamination. They're still, that's still their thinking. I agree with them on that. But the severe thunderstorm warning is a good call because the storm has structure to it. And really, we've had some storms today that really weren't all that well buttoned up, and still produce some pretty decent winds. So you get a storm that's fairly organized, and you have the potential to get some straight line winds out of this thing. So good call on the severe thunderstorm warning. I don't. Let me go back up in the atmosphere here. 26,000. Let me go back up here. Yeah, I still think it's weakening. So let's go back just a little bit here. See, again, we're up at about 30,000 feet here, right? And you got a lot of purple and red there. There's a very decent hail core with it. And then let's go forward a couple of scans here. And look how that falls apart. All right. And that's at about 23 to 30,000 feet. So I think we're on our way down with this, Will.
Yeah, I think so too. It's starting to that kind of tail appendage is starting to disconnect, and it looks like the height has dropped pretty considerably as well.
Yes, I think it has.
I think a couple scans ago, this guy was up at close to 50K. It's down around 40 now.
Yeah, and again, it's moving into an atmosphere that we've had. It's been worked over fairly well today. We've had several rounds of showers and thunderstorms today, and so it if we had not had any of that today, and this storm was coming in fresh on a fresh atmosphere that had not had any any storms through it today, I think this one would probably be a different story. But I think the way it looks right now, still a lot of lightning with it though. It still has a core. A lot of cloud to ground lightning still with it. So it's going to be noisy as it comes in, unless it just completely falls apart. But there in Fairview, you're going to hear your thunder get louder as this thing gets closer, unless this thing just completely falls apart, which it might do. But at the moment, it's kind of in that in-between phase where it hadn't completely fallen apart yet, but I'm not sure it's quite as potent as it was 15 minutes ago. Let me go back in there and look for some hail. Let's see here. Let me go over here. Yeah, could be some small hail in there. I don't see. I feel like an X-ray technician here at the moment. I don't see like really concentrated cores of hail falling out of it right now. I think if it did that a little while ago. Yeah, I think if it did that a little while ago, like right here. See how blue and green that is right there in the core?
Yeah.
I think that's come down a little bit.
Looking at the 3D, which is great for this, in GR2, you can see a big altitude spike in the 2333Z scan, where big spike of reflectivity jumps up almost to 52,000 feet. Whoa, mine does not look like that. Oh, is that 2?
Yeah, I've just got it in a cross section. So
Yeah, so I looked over a pretty wide area.
yeah,
And
that definitely has come down.
and you so right there, right? So right there you saw that thing just sink. So here it is, real we got color real high on that scale, right? And then move forward and all that color drops back,
Yeah.
pretty much drops back down
Yeah, that is
below the
definitely
freezing line.
Weakened.
And so there are a little bit of wispy pieces of reflectivity above the freezing line in that cell right now, but not nearly what there were. And of course, why are we looking for water above the freezing line? Well, because it's going to toss and tumble in there above the freezing line and turn into hail and precipitate out, and put holes in your tomatoes or whatever you're growing in your garden.
Oh, don't tell me that, man. I've got some nice tomatoes in the backyard.
Me too. I hope we don't get hail.
True story. When we lived in Texas for 3 years, and we just got back from a trip from there, and I was reminded of the we had 3 hailstorms in 2 days down there, and we had a garden out there. Our tomato plants were about that big. It was about this time of year, and our tomato plants were pretty small. And we had one that we had a lot of quarter size hail, and we went outside. And when I say there was nothing left of those plants, I mean there was nothing left of those plants. It just completely ripped them apart. It'll do it. It'll do it. So yeah, let's not do that today.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Weather Service electing to continue this warning for a little bit. As of a few minutes ago, they decided to keep it cranking. It's in effect till 7:45. Fairview is the only place here in our 2 counties that are included here. So zooming in, you got the town of Fairview there, Blakemont Estates up there as you get closer to I-40, Brush Creek, Fairview High School. And by the time you get down to 840 is about the place where you're outside the polygon there. So just really Fairview, about the only place. Leapers Fork, Franklin, Thompson Station, all of Davidson County, you're not included here yet. So it'll be interesting to see how things evolve here. Our radar software thinks hail sizes might be coming back up again a little bit. And that's all right. It's been kind of pulsing up and down. So my prediction is that if they do tick up just a little bit, they'll kind of tick back down again. So we'll just kind of have to see if this thing gets its act together or not as it comes in further into our 2 counties. But let me sort of recap here for those that have joined. Let me back up just a little bit. That's not a current radar image. Let's see if I can get us a current radar image. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. Good. Okay. Let me do a little storm track here on this thing. And what you kind of notice, the strongest part of this storm does have a little bit of a tilt down. We call this a right mover, and it's a cell that has a pretty decent core to it, pretty decent updraft. And in fact, that updraft is what we call a mesocyclone. It's rotating. It's not a tornado, but it's rotating, which a lot of thunderstorms do. And that sort of helps keep the core of the storm going, keeps it up a little bit, keeps the hail sizes up just a little bit, but it also can kind of help it turn right. And that's what we see happening here. So this one's kind of sinking south, kind of east southeast. So that has Franklin kind of in its crosshairs, 8:20. So about another hour before it gets to Franklin. It's possible this thing's not moving real fast. So that's possible. So about 8:25 to Cool Springs, about 8:20 to Franklin, about 8:10 on the west sides of Franklin. And Nolensville looking at about 8:43. So you got some time here. We got some time to kind of see what it's going to do. This is not a storm that's just flying through here. So there's a lot to see here in Nashville. It's going to take its time. So right now it's over eastern Dixon County. Let me back up here just a little bit so y'all can see Davidson County. You see Davidson County here is not included in this severe thunderstorm warning. Not included at the moment. This is a Williamson, in fact, a northwestern Williamson County thing. Only Fairview included here. So this is in effect till 7:45, and then hopefully we'll be done with it, but we'll see. Yeah, Will, looks like the hail sizes are coming up again. Thing might be getting its act together again.
It can't make up its mind.
Here we're looking. Yeah, here, look at this. So going back, you see how the core was, we were talking about that core coming down right there.
Yeah, right.
Now watch it.
Yeah, it's gonna pop
Boom.
up. Yeah, look at that. One scan.
It's back. So, yeah, core of the storm's definitely coming back up again. So we were looking up there at about 28,000 feet. And this storm is kind of right back where it was when the warning was issued. And it's gone back tall again. It has gotten a little more steam under it and has now kind of perked up. So, yeah, Fairview, looks like you could get a good storm here, about 15, 20 minutes from this storm back here in Burns. And really right along I-40. Boy, Will, that's right there near the 840 interchange. We got cameras out there, I think. Let me check.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what we've got. There are cameras out there. In fact, there are cameras right there. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is
Uh-oh.
what a view.
We can see if there's hail bouncing on that road. Try Hazcams.
Well, the ones in Dixon out there are like under the tree line.
Yeah, there's one in Fairview that is like it's like a ground cam. Then there's another one in Dixon that's a ground cam. The one in Centerville has it's too far away.
I was looking for wind. There's no wind here. At least, I mean, unless.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I was looking for. Was any wind? Well, that's a heck of a view right there. Let's try another one. Yeah, there's a little more wind there along along I-40.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a breeze. That ain't a thing. That's not too bad right there. Let me get my bearings here on radar. See, this is right there this is just west of the. Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's quite to those cameras yet, but it's awfully close. Okay. Well, we'll get a chance to sort of see what this does. Boy, once again, we're just making sure that box is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
So overall, this storm is consistent with the forecast today. What we thought we'd see, a straight line wind event. We've seen really no evidence, at least with this cell, of any kind of rotation. There are some outbound and inbound winds, more of a divergent nature. Lots of side load contamination going on. So it's a little difficult to pick up exactly what the wind is doing, which is why we're looking at cameras. A modest hail threat, small hail, but this storm's been really inconsistent with the hail that it's dropping out. Sometimes it's dropping small hail, sometimes it completely collapses. And so the storm is kind of oscillating between, angry and not as it moves east. One thing that we can be for sure about is that this storm has a ton of lightning with it.
Yeah.
So if you're, anywhere in the western part, 10 miles north, 10 miles south of I-40 in the western part of Davidson County, be on the lookout. This one's pretty much marching right along just south of I-40 and taking aim at the Fairview, Pasquo, Bellevue area as it moves east.
All right, so this is Fairview. I would imagine since it's raining, that's on the camera's on the north side of Fairview. Since it's raining there, but wind is not a problem. So that's good. But they're kind of riding right on the northern rim of that storm. That's not really where we'd find the wind. So I assume that camera's up here somewhere. So the wind's going to be, if there's any wind with it, it's going to be back here, right along I-40, still over in Dickson County, so not even into Williamson yet. So we'll keep an eye on that camera and a couple of others just to see what the wind does, but not seeing any yet on the different views we have. But that could change. Yeah, still breezy, still a little windy out there. But nothing damaging right there in that shot. That's a 20, 30, 35 mile an hour wind there. So that's a good sign. Let's check about what the Weather Service saying here. Anything new? Not really.
Nothing really in the last 10 minutes. But, the HRRR had this, pretty well. Looking at the last few runs, this is, pretty much what we expected to come in somewhere around 8 o'clock or so. And that's what we're seeing. The HRRR's prediction is that this will sink south and really largely impact Williamson County. I still think it'll probably rain downtown, but the heart of this storm, the core, is going to go, I believe, south of Old Hickory Boulevard there. The rest of the night, Andrew, maybe a few passing showers, but I don't see anything that's going to ruin anybody's plans tonight, other than people that wanted to have straight hair. The humidity is going to be just off the charts.
I don't remember a CMA Fest where we didn't have humidity and storm.
Right.
So, report there of not much wind with it in Burns. So Burns is, of course, up here in Dickson County. It's a good report from there. Y'all got if you're right there near the middle of Burns, y'all got the storm pretty good there. Probably a lot of water. There. Y'all got a good solid hit out of it. And not seeing just a ton of wind. So I think most of the wind is going to be, if there is wind, I think it's going to be south of 40. And, pretty close to the kind of the south end of this polygon here. So really along 840 between the Williamson County line and 40 is probably where the strongest winds are going to be, if there are strong winds with it. It's going to be kind of where this rain is wrapping around the bottom. You might call it a hook, but it's not really a tornadic circulation, but you might call this a hook in some contexts. But it's kind of where that rain's kind of wrapping around the backside of it. You may have some kind of tough winds there to drive in for a minute. Certainly heavy rain, and that's generally headed for Fairview and kind of taking a little bit of a southeastward sink here. As we've been talking about, it sort of has a little bit of a right turn to it. So it looks like it's going to be, I don't know about as far south as Spring Hill, but Franklin for sure looks to get some rain. And somebody says it is windy in Burns, so it's all right. Yeah, I don't expect there to be a lot of widespread wind. I think, like we see, some people in Burns may have some wind, some people might not. Looks like it's pretty spotty, not a big widespread wind event, doesn't look like. Okay, so severe thunderstorm warning continues for Williamson County. This is for the northwestern corner of Williamson County that includes really only Fairview. And it's for this storm that's coming into Fairview, coming into Williamson County now with a lot of lightning. All right, so this thing has sort of cycled up and down. Back to the west, when they issued the severe thunderstorm warning, it was pretty strong. Well, then it looked like it was about to just completely fall apart. Wondered if they were going to keep the warning going because it just about completely fell apart. And then it just popped right back up again and really got some legs under it and started probably producing some hail, probably some gusty winds. Yeah, it looks like a little bit of I bet there is hail falling with it now, actually. So, yeah, I'm betting there's some hail right there around the 65, 840, I-40, 840 junction. That interchange there, looks like there's probably some hail falling there. May not be quarter size. Radar thinks it is, but it's taking sort of a holistic approach to the storm. How big is the hail up in the storm? What could you possibly expect to fall out of that storm? And it's saying it could be a quarter size or a little larger. Oftentimes it overdoes that by a little bit. So wouldn't be surprised if we got some dimes, maybe some nickels out of it. But that's probably about it. What about TBNA, Will? Have you checked TBNA?
I have not.
Let's see what it shows here. Not a lot.
Yeah. And look, that's the truth teller when it comes to some of this velocity stuff, right? Mainly because of where it's positioned. The fact that it is very low in tilt to the ground.
We're looking at about 1,700 feet there.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so we may not be getting too much wind there. It's worth mentioning, though, if you are getting wind and you do, in fact, have some damaging winds in this thing, let us know. That's Will's department, and he would love to hear from you.
I would. Tell me
if you've got something going on.
Tell me what is happening in your neighborhood. Are you? Yeah, and so one of the things that we do other than try to provide the very best live severe and winter weather coverage possible, is also getting reports to the National Weather Service. Right, that's a huge part of what we do. So if you do have trees, tree limbs, power lines down, hail greater than 1 inch, greater than the size of a quarter. If you have flooding that occurs near a structure. Those are all things that we want to hear. If you have roof damage, building damage, those are all things that we want to hear about using hashtag TSpotter. DM us on Instagram. Get it to us however you can. This YouTube chat is probably not the way to do that because it goes by so quickly. The best way to do it is to go on to Twitter or X and send us a picture. Make sure you have a timestamp. Make sure you give us your location. Tell us where it's happening, and we'll get that report to the Weather Service to help with warning decisions as the storm moves further east.
I just ate some peanuts and realized I don't have any water. Man, it's like chewing chalk. I may not be able to
All
talk
right.
for a minute.
Well, that was an inopportune time to make your mouth not be able to
I just
move.
realized it. I thought I had a glass
Professional
of water.
broadcaster Andrew Leeper, ladies and gentlemen.
Apparently, I drank my water a while back. I thought I had a glass of water here.
Yep.
Oh, well.
But yeah, so this is, I think barely at severe limits. I think really one of the things that, if I'm the Weather Service, one of the things that's causing me to keep this warning alive is the potential for that hail to get large. The storm has a history of going up and down and up and down. If it goes up too high, the hail gets real big, produces a severe threat. I think that's probably what they're banking on with this storm.
Yeah, I agree. It is kind of one of those that's a little bit marginal, which is nobody's complaining.
Yeah, I'll take it. Right.
I'll take a marginal storm over what we could have.
I'll also take it going south of downtown, especially.
That is also true. That is also true. Let's storm track this again. This thing's not
really. It's done its right turn, hasn't it?
It's still doing it. It's just still sinking. So what you see here in this cone assumes it's going to go in the same direction. All right, you almost want to kind of bend this cone down a little bit. Franklin, Eagleville. I mean, the thing's kind of sinking slowly to the bottom right. So, yeah, looks like Franklin around 8:20. That's still holding true. Looks like Brentwood about 8:30. Of course, west sides of Brentwood get some rain. But again, I think the main core of this is going to miss Brentwood, most of Brentwood, because it is sort of taking that southeasterly dive there. I think it's going to be more of just kind of going through the heart of Williamson County. It's not so much going to be, or a little bit earlier, it looked like it was heading right for downtown.
It sure did. Yeah.
Well, that, every radar scan that came in, it's like, no, it looks like it's actually going to bend down into Williamson, and it really has. You look and see how it's riding the very bottom of their polygon there. So that's a good sign that this thing's turning right.
It wouldn't surprise me if the next tour, or if the next severe update, if they reissue, which I haven't looked at when this expires, but
expires in 5 minutes.
Yeah, so if they reissue, I could see them excluding Davidson County. Or at least a large portion of Davidson County.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, it's Fairview's just kind of been sitting there like, okay, I thought this thing was coming. Well, finally it's getting there. Still a lot of lightning with it, I assume. Let's go look at that view. Yeah, still a lot of lightning. Maybe not quite as much as there was, but still getting pelted pretty good in Fairview. Yeah. So still a very electrical storm, especially in this section right over northwestern Williamson County. Looks like new severe thunderstorm warning for Williamson. There it is. New severe thunderstorm
There
warning
you
for
go.
Williamson County, and Will called it there by excluding Davidson County. Looky there. They
Like the
even
warning
they
whisperer.
even dug it out right there. So
Isn't that nice?
I just heard that in like my grandmother's voice. Like,
Mm-hmm.
isn't that nice?
Nice, y'all. Take
Um,
that out.
so yeah, new severe thunderstorm warning for Williamson County, and that's for this same storm that's there in Fairview. That new this new severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for 47 minutes. This thing's just taking its time. So it expires at 8:30. 8:30, and it will have just made it to 65.
Show me Fairview High School here. I got a Perry camera. I'm looking at here.
Let's go back and look at velocities again. Let's see how this thing's doing with the wind department. Still, yeah, it's got a bad read on it. Let's check TBNA. Yeah, still not all that. All right. Well, I'm just kind of getting some updates here, checking with the Weather Service, getting some additional details on the storm, kind of what they see, how it's behaving. Just kind of getting an update from them on what they're thinking. So Jacob in Fairview, corner of Walker Road and Highway 100, about a mile from 840. Thunder and lightning, light rain, drove through a lot of rain from Dixon to here, but beat the storm. So keep us updated, Jacob, on what it does there in Fairview. Would be pretty curious. Weather Service says that hail is the main concern with this storm. The warning is for 60 mile per hour winds and quarter size hail, but hail was really their biggest concern there. I asked them a couple of questions there as far as what's the main concern with this, and hail was their main concern. So it has. They've acknowledged though it has come back down in the last few radar scans. So we'll just kind of have to see. This thing may not last, the whole time. And the last time we said that, it pulsed back up again. So, but we'll see. We'll see if this thing pulses back up or if it continues to fall apart. Hail size is certainly a lot smaller now, though. Let's go to our hail view and go back. You can kind of see the brighter colors, especially over Dixon.
Is that MEHS?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, you see
And
where it
then,
picked up and then it
picks up,
dropped
falls
again.
off, and
Mm-hmm.
here we are. So,
And so, hopefully it continues to decrease in hail size and, stays out of everybody's way as it comes through Fairview. But what we do know about this storm is that it's got a history of pulsing back up, Andrew. So we're
it
probably not out
does.
of the woods for it.
And the sun is back out at 40 and 840.
It's
So
interesting.
it is. Yeah. Yeah, so the sun's going to come back out on the backside of this as the sun sets. And if you're out ahead of the storm, so if you're really anywhere in Williamson County, I'm in far eastern Williamson County, and it's 7:47, and it is dark. It is dark out my window. So the sun is behind the storm, and this storm is blocking a lot of the evening, what's left of the evening light. For those of us in central and eastern Williamson County. So tall storm, big storm. Sun can't get through it. It's pretty dark out here. But those of you around 840 and 40, congrats. You got a little more sunshine for today. What's left of it. Some pea-sized hail, Highway 96 in Fairview. Okay. That is right about kind of what I would expect. That is right about what I would expect. So some brief pea-sized hail. Will, that might be good for them to know in chat. Just
Yeah, all right.
that's what they were. That's what they got there in the core of it at 96 in Fairview. Just some brief pea-sized hail.
Done. Cool.
Well, that's a good thing. I haven't really heard any reports bigger than that.
Yeah, that's the first hail report I've seen.
Let's check velocity again. Not much on velocity. Again, we think this down here, this is another example of some side lobe contamination. We got to come up with a clever T-shirt for side lobe contamination.
I'm sure the chat will come up with something off the wall that we could never publish.
It's true. Let's see. So what I do see here around Fairview is these are actually, I get my bearings with the radar. Sorry, I have to do these pictures. These are actually convergent winds there. So convergent winds there would be lifting the storm higher. So we may actually get some stronger hail and some stronger development down a little further south. So that would be kind of down here, Fairview High School area, right around 840. Wouldn't surprise me because of that. These winds sort of converging together. These winds going this way, these winds going this way. Well, they can't go down, they got to go up. And so that will act to lift the storm higher. So it wouldn't surprise me if we got a little bit taller and a little bit more development on the south end of this as opposed to the north side. You know, not that big a deal. It's just an observation for what may happen over the next 15, 20 minutes. And maybe more of the Pinewood Road area might enhance the rain, maybe some hail down there as this thing continues to sink to the southeast. So let's do another storm track on this. Franklin's still looking at about 818 for the strongest part of the storm. 820 Sullivan Farms, 824 Cool Springs.
Okay, chatting with Elon, who is about to hop on and is taking over Outbound Communications on Twitter. Just coordinating on the message with him and to share it with you guys, right? That messaging, the broader messaging for this storm is perhaps straight line wind, although we're not really seeing a lot of that. The potential for damaging hail is really the greatest concern we have at the moment. The other great concern that we have at the moment is that you'll be outside when this storm comes through and you'll get struck by lightning because it is continuing to be a very electrical storm, seeing lightning strikes on our high resolution lightning mapper that are out ahead of the rain, which is just terrifying. And also seeing strikes that are, um, you know, really big, really loud, really powerful, and if nothing else, will just scare the crap out of you. Uh, but anybody on a line from about, I don't know, Cottonwood to Leapers Fork to the Pinewood Road exit off 840, expect this storm to come your way. You're probably already hearing it.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, I'll be interested to see if the thing pulses up again, really, because I'm going to go back and look at these winds again on TBNA. Not quite as convergent as they were, but it's just not. It's just not all that strong. So I don't see like a crazy strong updraft here. So it may not pulse back up. That would be great. That'd be good. Still a lot of energy up there. There's a lot to wring out. If it does start falling apart, there's a lot to wring out up here. Let's go up here and look at it. Let's go back up here in the 20. There he is. How are the nachos?
How's it
That's
going?
great. Oh, man. All right, 25,000 feet here. Let's go back and look here at what things have done at 25,000 feet. Yeah, so you can kind of see, again, 25,000 feet. So we're looking up in the core of the storm, the upper part of the storm. Not too crazy. Yeah, it really perked up right there, just west of Fairview. That's when our new warning came out. Well, it actually came about right there. And then it has come down, continues to come down. It's just sort of
It's blobbing out a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of maintaining. It's just not really doing any. It's not getting a whole lot weaker or a whole lot stronger. It's kind of maintaining, exhaling a little bit. Not just looks a little bit more disorganized. Not seeing real big cores of large hail. Radar only thinks it's pea size, so that's good. Elin, where did you eat nachos?
The restaurant is actually called Nachos.
Ah. Well.
Yes. I ate tacos at Nachos.
Oh, you didn't eat nachos. I thought you said you ate. Well,
nachos.
That makes all the sense in the world now. Had tacos at nachos.
Both sound good. But
Both sound delicious. I'm sitting here eating peanuts. These are the same peanuts that I drove with me. I took a road trip to Oklahoma City about a week and a half ago, which I need to tell you guys about that are listening. It was a great trip, and I need to make a video or something about that. But I was eating these peanuts up there, and
Warning's gone.
well, good. We can talk about peanuts and nachos. So I'm finishing off this big thing of peanuts that I ate driving to Oklahoma City, and realized I had no water. And eating peanuts, salted peanuts without water is a real problem. So Warning
So,
is gone,
yeah, the storm which prompted the warning is weakened below severe limits, Andrew.
I'll say. That's good. So let's talk about this storm, what we expect out of it. It's still very loud. Will, it's probably a little noisy at your place.
Yes.
Probably not.
Actually,
Probably not crazy. It's
it
still not
hasn't
really.
been too bad. I've heard a
Yeah,
couple in the background.
it's not all that close to you, but you may hear some
I
thunder. But
wouldn't want to be in Fernvale.
still very noisy storm, heavy rain, maybe pea-sized hail. It takes quarters to be severe. We're nowhere close to that right now. So pea-sized hail possible. A breeze as it comes through. Things going to be a little windy. But we're just not seeing anything here that really stands out as severe at the moment. So could it be reissued later as it moves through Williamson County over the next hour and a half? Yeah. But right at the moment, we're not seeing anything too concerning. So, well, that was a live stream, guys. Let's hop off of here, and we'll cover it over on socials, and we'll jump back on here though if we need to cover another warning. Other than that, we'll see y'all a little later.
Thanks, guys.